Hey everybody, what's going on? There's a lot going on with the Montreal Canadiens right now, at least in terms of headlines, and that's to be expected at this time of year where there just really isn't a lot to do except for speculate. We're going to dive into some more draft talk in this video. There's a lot of I don't want to say rumors surrounding what the Montreal Canadiens want to do with their fifth overall selection, but there's at least chatter about the type of player they're interested in. Some of the names that continue to be set around are Will Smith, Ryan Leonard, David Reinbacher. He's kind of the newest one in the mix as well, the most highly rated defenseman in this draft class, which isn't really known as a defensive heavy draft class. There's probably going to be maybe 4 or 5 defensemen selected in this first round, even though we know NHL GMs love to select defensemen and sometimes even higher than where they're ranked in the draft class because of how hard they are to find and how hard they are to develop. But David Reinbacher is an interesting case. He's an Austrian defender, and he's kind of risen up the ranks this season and just been that steady performer that a lot of teams have fallen in love with. He plays in a men's league. He hasn't been out of place in that league. He plays top 4 minutes. He does a lot of really good things with the puck, and you're starting to see that he's just that steady defenseman. I don't know if he has number 1 defenseman potential. In fact, I would say that he probably doesn't have that ceiling as a defenseman, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him end up as a number 2 or 3 defenseman in the National Hockey League on a pairing that can play upwards of 23 minutes a night. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this player, but I have watched him play a fair amount, and I do think that he is a solid NHL prospect. But the question then begs, you have to ask, is he worthy of that 5th overall selection for the Montreal Canadiens? In my opinion, I don't think you should be playing it safe with a selection at 5th overall. I believe you should be going for that ceiling, that player that you can see that can potentially be an elite game-changing presence for your franchise, and there's certainly plenty of those available in this draft class. If you want to play it safe, do that with the 29 to 32 range pick that the Florida Panthers are giving the Montreal Canadiens this year for the Ben Chiarot trade. That's a move where you want to play it safely, fine. Be my guest, do that. The Canadiens have done that over the years. They did so last year with Owen Beck. He's probably going to be a third-line center in the National Hockey League. I don't really see top 6 tools on him, but this kind of feels like that selection at 5th overall. It kind of feels like a safer, projectable player in the NHL. He's almost a surefire, guaranteed slot in on an NHL pairing one day, but I just don't necessarily see that elite ceiling that you want from a 5th overall player. That's not to say that it would be a horrible selection at 5th overall. You can potentially see him playing down the line with a player like Lane Hudson, and that being a really projectable top pairing. Reinbacher has that ability to be a two-way defender, and he's showing a lot more NHL skills of late, especially on offense. He got injured at the World Championships, but was showing pretty well before that, and you're starting to see him take more chances with the puck, be more involved with his skating, which has certainly improved as well. So I do think there's a lot to like about Reinbacher. I'm just not sold on him being that position player that they select at 5th overall. I personally think that they have to find a way to get Will Smith or Leo Carlsson. I don't know if it's going to be likely that either of those players are there, because I do believe that the Canadiens have some question marks about Matvei Michkov, and that's reasonably so. They don't have the chance to really speak to this player over in Russia. They can't really talk to him as of this moment. I don't know if he's going to be coming over for the NHL Draft Combine, whereas a player like David Reinbacher, injury pending, we don't really know what the status is of his injury and how long he's going to be out for, but that could play a factor in where he goes in this NHL draft, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But for right now, in my opinion, I just don't believe that's the type of player you want to select with the 5th overall pick. There's still a lot of time. There's a lot of players the Montreal Canadiens are likely interested in. They haven't submitted their full draft prep list yet. They're still going through draft meetings. They're still trying to solidify their draft rankings for the 2023 NHL draft. So don't be scared if you hear a player like Reinbacher in the news for the Montreal Canadiens. If they ultimately select him, then so be it. He's a very projectable player in the NHL. I just think you should be aiming higher when you have that 5th overall selection. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the Montreal Canadiens reportedly being interested in David Reinbacher for that 5th overall pick in the 2023 NHL Draft. Is that something you would like to see them do, or would you rather them steer clear of a player like Reinbacher? I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.